Hello, everybody. All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today is Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024. All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today is Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024. Sorry about that. anyways, um, anyways, today's Thursday, August 2024. So welcome. If you haven't already, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more um, friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, feel free to subscribe. Help get the subscription count up. We're up to 230 right now. So, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, let's talk about what's on tap for tonight. So on tonight's episode, of course, I'm going to go over a couple articles. One will be the Indie Comic Showcase, and apparently now Chris Braley, I guess, is now doing 2 features per show instead of 3 per article per interview. So that means that, of course, that gives us a little more time to add in another article. And the other article and both articles, by the way, are gonna be from Bleeding Fool. The second article we're gonna look at is that apparently Marvel and DC have lost the trademark to the word superhero. So, so we're going to look at that. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up. We'll get caught up on, of course, last night's Dynamite. Basically, as we head into the weekend here, as this will be our last regular news day, we'll talk a little bit about what to expect this Saturday's WWE Bad Blood pay per view. Maybe go over what's going to go down on Rampage, maybe Collision, and then also talk about what's going to be going on tonight. Impact, as I think some things are going on with Impact. Initially where the show that was supposed to be for today, that they were going to do for today, of course, was supposed to have been taped this past weekend. The shows for the next couple of weeks heading into Mountain of Glory were supposed to be taped this past weekend, the September 27th, 28th. But as with Hurricane Helena, they tried to initially push it back to Monday and Tuesday, the 30th and October 1st. And then, but I think they did eventually. I think what they ended up doing is they ended up taping them at Skyway Studios in Nashville. Anyways, also, let's see. We'll also have the This Day in Each History segment. So, with all that being said, we're now coming up on 5 minutes here. So, again, just a friendly reminder to you guys, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, now we're coming up on 5 minutes, so why don't we go ahead and get started with this with the show here. All right, so first article we're gonna do tonight is the Indie Comics Showcase, and again, Chris is apparently only doing two titles instead of 3. So I guess I don't know, since this is the second time we've done this since it's changed. I'm guessing this might be the new format he'll do. Instead of doing 3 titles, he'll do 2, or maybe things are just that slow. But anyways, and when I saw this article, I'm thinking, and this is going to be interesting, particularly that first title there. Um, so let's get into the article here. Indie Comics Showcase number 285, Manga Man and Alpha Red. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. So let's get into this then. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comics Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. All right, so the first book here is Alpha Red by James Nguyen. So, before we get in the article, of course, let me go grab the link here so we can put that in there. And it's a Fund My Comic project. So, simple title enough here. Oh, oopsie. Did I just... I think I did. Anyways, I think I just goofed there. Let me go grab that link again. I'll grab that story again. How I got that thing mixed up, I don't know. But anyways, alrighty then. Try this one more time here. So, alright, so here's the link to that particular comic if you guys want to go check that out. Leave it up there for a moment. You know, do a couple other things here. Well, here, I'll actually keep that up. Do a couple other things here. Alrighty. So, anyways, now with that being done and said, let's get into the article. Let's get into this. So, Alva read by James Nguyen. Chris Braley. Welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, James. What's the pitch for your comic Alpha Red? I wonder if that was a typo. I wonder if he meant to say elevator pitch or just put the extra pitch in there for some reason. But anyways, James Nguyen. Alpha Red is your friendly neighborhood handyman who is chosen by a covert organization called the Kingdom to have a chip implanted into his brain and gives him super strength, um, super speed, and super smarts. Sounds a little bit like Azrael, right? From DC. He's given an alpha suit and a hypercar that transforms into a robot. Alpha Red saved the world from the transforming robot tank Omega Black, who was piloted by Satan and his Omega tank army. So the Alpha and the Omega, as it were. Alpha Red number 6 continues. Our heroes. All right, again, I think a typo there. This is supposed to be the 6th issue of it. Continues our hero's adventures after he returns from his first big victory. Obviously, there's already been a couple of big typos in the article thus far. Somebody's lax in there a little bit, somewhere along the line. Anyways, we continue on with the article here. Chris, what inspired this story for you? James, as a lifelong fan of comic books, I dreamed of drawing my favorite superheroes. But because I never got the opportunity, I am excited to bring my creation. I'm excited to be able to bring my creation to life as an independent comic book. Alpha Red combines all the elements of my childhood entertainment, from G.I. Joe and Transformers to Spider-Man and X-Men. So this guy was an 80s, 90s kid, just 80s, 90s kid as well. Okay. When I decided that creating my own comic book would be the best way to get to draw superheroes, I went back to that well to draw out my all-ages superhero comic book that includes all my favorite things. I think this sounds like it's going to have quite an appeal to a lot of people. Sounds like, particularly if you grew up sometime between the 80s and early 90s, it sounds like there's going to be a book you're going to want to check out. What kind of comic readers is this most suited for? Chris asks. James responds, Alpha Red is a love letter to my favorite comics and cartoons from the late 80s, early 90s. What did I say? But it is written for an all-ages audience who enjoys superhero comic books. When I discovered comic books in the late 80s and early 90s, I was drawn to the best artists at the time, including Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. Following their journey from Marvel to Image inspired me to draw superheroes and create my own characters. My art style is influenced by those early Image artists, but also some of the later 90s artists such as Joe Madureira. My writing was influenced by what Marvel was doing with their movies in the early days of the MCU. Lots of action and adventure and fun. And there's, I guess, Alpha Red right there. Actually, what's kind of funny, because as everybody here knows, Marvel has a character named Omega Red. So, anyways, as we continue on with the article here. Chris, is this a solo effort, or do you have a creative team you'd like to mention? James, the first 5 issues of Alpha Red were okay, were written and drawn by me. But with Alpha Red number 6, I brought on a new young writer named Ray McKay. It was fun to see what another creator can bring to my character and story. And again, some inconsistent editing issues here. Obviously, Ray, that is pronounced Ray. That's the Japanese spelling of the word Ray. And but however, that particular spelling is actually of a girl's name. So, I'm sure Mr. McKay really feels great that that the editors here decided to call him a Japanese girl. Anyways, Ray reached out to me at the beginning of the year and asked if I needed help with the writing of Alpha Ray. Again, the editors are really having a they must be tripping over them. They must have been tripping over themselves when they were writing this article and they were looking over this article. I turned him down since I had not worked with a writer to create the first 5 issues. But after I had some writer's block, I reached back out to him and asked him to pitch a story for a Alpha Red. Oh boy. I guess that should say for an Alpha Red story or for Alpha Red. I was pleasantly surprised when he turned in 3 plots in a few short hours. So I chose one, and here we are. My letterer, Josh Shelton, is returning to do the newest issue. He has been with me through all 5 initial issues, and I am glad to bring him back for number 6. I have had 3 different colorists working on Alpha Red through the issues, but I'm happy to have the colorist of Alpha Red number 5, Andrew Kramer, returning to do the latest issue. Let me see before we any more comment. Nope, not yet. Chris, you're up to 6 issues. What is your workflow like? James, because creating an Alpha Red is not my full-time job, I have committed to penciling and inking 1 page of Alpha Red per week. That has been a great schedule to hold myself to as I balance my career and my love for creating comic books. I am currently done with 13 and a half pages of my 20-page issue of Alpha Red. Again, they keep going back and forth between Red RED and Red READ. Red, the past tense of the word. READ. That shows not only as a present but also the past tense of when you're doing a book. The only difference is how it sounds. When you read a book and when you have read a book. Right? So, anyways, so issue of Alpha Red number 6 now that I am done setting up the crowdfunding campaigns. I can return to finishing up the artwork in time for the campaign and completing the artwork by the end of October. Andrew is done with the first 5 pages of colors and is on track to also complete the remaining pages by the end of October. So that it can be sent to the printers in early November. Right before the major holiday season, right? When business will probably most likely pick up. Dr. Disastro. Chris, with 5 issues under your belt now, what's been your biggest lesson learned about crowdfunding and creating through this process? James, I have had 5 successful crowdfunding campaigns through Kickstarter, but with the current issue of Alpha Red, I am branching out to try other platforms to help fund the completion of issue number 6. I am trying Fund My Comic and Indiegogo, along with Kickstarter, with exclusive covers on each individual platform. I have been told independent comic collectors typically stay on their crowdfunding platforms of choice, so I want to meet the customer where they feel most comfortable. If I happen to have super fans of my artwork and creation, and they go to all 3 platforms, to collect the individual exclusive covers for an Alpha Red number 6, I have a free reward specifically for them that cannot be ordered from any of the crowdfunding sites. They will be able to get a 64-page all art version of Alpha Red number 6. The individual exclusive covers for each site will be limited to the number of backers that choose the exclusive cover for the campaign. This will make the reward or perk more exclusive and very limited. So on top of the limited edition exclusive cover, any superfan who picks up all 3 exclusive covers will get an even more rare exclusive version of Alpha Red number 6 for free. So he's really laying out the deals there, isn't he? Dollar Super, trying hard not to look like Gary Cooper. Super duper. Alright, so anyways. And here's, I guess, one of the covers that they were talking about. Star-Crossed Comics. Different views, one vision. Alpha Red number 6. See, Chris, what's your long-term plans for this series? James, Alpha Red is meant to be an ongoing superhero comic book to fill the void of an all-ages offering for comic book fans to discover the medium. So I will be doing an Alpha Red for as long as I can. All right. Sounds like he's really trying to do something with this. Trying to open up everybody to the Alpha Red world. The ARU, as it were. Let's see. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? James, as I try to build interest in Alpha Red, I will be posting more videos on my YouTube channel. It can be found if you search Alpha Red Comic on YouTube. I do weekly draw stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. I talk about my journey of creating an independent comic book from a Christian creator while I draw whatever character I am inspired by that week. All right. So much like Rick Piper, we got another Christian creator here. Chris, it looks great. Good luck. All right. So there we go. Now this is the one that caught my attention. Manga Man by Jerry Judge Hines. Now, mind you, I believe it probably goes without saying. Yeah, this is obviously a book about Donald Trump. This is a comic about Donald Trump. Going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Considering that, for the most part, from what if you guys have noticed, much of the mainstream comic medium, anytime they had depicted Donald Trump in comics, it's been in a very negative light. So it sounds like this guy might be trying to portray the most needed hero of all. It's kind of hard to figure out who these people are supposed to represent here. And I guess we'll find out soon enough, though. But anyways, let me go grab the link for that. As soon as I can find the cursor here. All right. Right, so this is a Kickstarter campaign. The Kickstarter campaign, so we're not going to make that mistake again. So let me see now. Jerry Judge Hines, Manga Man. The Kickstarter campaign, which I'm surprised it would be on Kickstarter because we've heard that Kickstarter is not Trump friendly. So the people who run it are not Trump friendly. The cover stating Manga Man, the hero we all need. And there's a link to the comic if you guys want to go check that out. Again, when I saw this in the headline there in the title, I kind of sparked my interest a little bit just to see how Trump's going to be portrayed here. And I'm sure if it does get back to Trump that this comic's out there, he'll probably want to read it too. Let's see what this is all about. So, the most needed hero of all. So, Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comics Showcase. Jerry, tell us the elevator pitch for Manga Man. Jerry Hines, Manga Man is an inspirational tale in the fight against corruption, fascism, globalism, and of course, censorship. A 22-page, all-American style color comic starring none other than Donald John Trump himself, the property mogul, personality, and third-time running presidential candidate who is almost assassinated twice. Elon Musk, billionaire, inventor, and maverick entrepreneur, thinks the attempts on Trump's life were a crossing of the line and requests he take more control of his own destiny and personal security. Along with Vince Everett Ellis of the Wright Foundation, Trump and Musk embark on Project MAGA Man. Together, they battle Flag, far-left alliance globalists who are waging war on Western civil society via numerous neo-Marxist factions. Their weapon of the day, the radicalized youth who possess high-tech armory of unknown origins, and the nefarious mastermind behind it all is the dreaded Burnt Kloss. Burnt Kloss, okay? Truth, honor, justice. The very definition of MAGA man. This one sounds like a very interesting comic to get into. Chris, not many comic creators like to delve into the political realm. What inspired you to take that step with MAGA Man? Jerry, after becoming aware of, in small quotes, fake news about 6 years ago, back in 2018, I'm still quite amazed at the mainstream media painting Donald Trump to be, in smaller quotes, the bad guy. I'm a comic book creator, and this is just my way of trying to do my part for free speech and fight back against the cultural Marxism I currently see gripping the West. I'm an old school Bronze and Silver Age comic book guy. This is aimed at that demographic, or anyone who appreciates the style of all ages superheroes. So tonight's theme, folks, all ages, right? We have a couple creators here, and Jerry Hines in the previous one, James Nguyen, who were basically, the word of the night, all ages. If Trump wins, there are indeed plenty more stories to explore with the MAGA man concept, most notably Ultra MAGA. Now look at that design right. Cape shield, all that. Look at that. Let's see. We obviously see some elements of Captain America in there, maybe Superman. Chris, tell us about your experience making comics. Jerry, I've been the president of the Association of Comic Artists, Singapore, since 2007. During this time, I've steered the association toward a sharing of knowledge of the comic book, manga, graphic novel making process. Through my indie publishing house, Nice One Comics. I've also indie published a lot of work for both myself and members, and I also take commissions for the public and corporate sectors clientele. When teaching, I always emphasize that comics are indeed literary art forms. So, starting with a written synopsis, plot, and finally script is my go-to process. I currently have my own Supercross title, currently with Thunder Zone Comics, and other titles by association members with Caliber Comics, Flesh and Steel, and Marcosia, Match All Package. There's Elon Musk right there in comic book form, folks. We did see Donald Trump in comic book form a few minutes ago. Okay, Chris, do you have a full creative team for this, or is this a solo effort? James, I'm producing the entire 22-page comic alone. The deadline is very tight, and looking for an FOC upfront collaborator isn't something I really want to impose on anyone. But a colorist would be a great help. Penciling and inking isn't as tough as it otherwise might be because the pencils can be quite loose when you're inking yourself. I'm hoping to reach goal, of course, and the printed books are promised for December 2024. So a couple months away here. I've currently completed pencils and inks up to page 9. I am to complete all 22 pages of pencils and inks by October 15th. So let's see, that's 12 days from now. Then all coloring by November 1st. And the books be delivered digitally by November 15th and print by early December. The concept is actually time sensitive, as issue number 2 would only make sense if Trump wins the 2024 election, U.S. election. And here's, I guess, part 1, Crossing the Line. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at this right here. Let's see. Chris, another good reason to have hope in a Trump victory next month. What has been the most challenging element of the crowdfunding process for you? I mean, I now before I move on to the next thing, could you imagine if Trump wins and then this comic book is out there? I can just see all the reading. Jerry, the marketing effort is not to be ignored. I wasn't really aware of the pre-launch facility, for example. I would have done a lot more with that if I had, but in truth, I wasn't so sure that Kickstarter would even accept my campaign. Anything supportive of Trump can meet heavy censorship across most mediums, which is what I mentioned earlier. Kind of alluded to that. This has made me also launch an Indiegogo campaign too, as I'm more and aware that certain aggressive activists may well come after me and my KS campaign at some point, should it gain any kind of notable traction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if anybody on here happens to be watching this, and you know Mr. Hines, why don't you let him know that Fund My Comic would be the perfect place to probably push this. Now, who is this supposed to be? Let's see. Oh, Vince Everett Ellis. So this is I guess, is the scientist who came up with the formula to turn Trump into a superhero, I guess. Let's see. Kristen asks, any special features in this book or the campaign that you'd like to mention? Jerry, there are 2 covers to choose from. There's a tier where I will physically pencil Manga Man with any character of the pledger's choice. This has already sold a couple of pledges, which is encouraging, as this is most high cost tier. I will also feature um, some behind the scenes process insights, most notably my drawing through the object digital layering style. Nice one, comics. Anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Chris asks. Jerry responds, I put a lot of work into this book, and hopefully it shows. I've done many things, I guess they forgot to put it in life, but this project seems very special. Um, and any backers are more than truly appreciated. Sincerely, Chris. Well, let's hope President Trump prevails so you can keep telling these tales. A little rhyming there, and we can get to Ultra Maga. Good luck. Alrighty then. So, that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available to purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. Alrighty then. So that was some pretty interesting, entertaining stuff there, particularly the Manga Man comic. Let's see now. So we'll get to the next article here. Let's see how much. So let me at least one more time here just show. So Alpha, there's the link for Alpha Red if you guys want to go check that out. And then here's the link for Manga Man. So let's go ahead and get through this last one real quick, and then we'll get on to this day in each the rest of wrap up and this day in each history. So here we go. And this is an Avi article. So Marvel Comics and DC Comics just lost their quote unquote superhero trademarks. Let's see what this is talking about here. Well, actually, I think somebody else, I think it was Yellow Flash, might have mentioned this too. I guess they lost the trademark they had to the word superhero, I guess is what it was. So, a most interesting report on Reuters, as the legal motion of an independent UK publisher has led to cancellation of something the big two shouldn't have been hogging all for themselves. And this is from the Reuters article. A U.S. Trademark Office tribunal has canceled a set of quote-unquote superhero trademarks jointly owned by comic giants Marvel and DC at the request of a London-based comic book artist, according to a Thursday order. The USPTO, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, ruled for S.J. Richards' Super Babies Limited after Disney's Marvel and Warner Brothers DC did not file to answer to Super Babies' request to invalidate the marks. Spokespeople and attorneys for Marvel and DC did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Super Baby's attorney, Adam Adler of Reichman, Jurgensen, Lehman, and of Reichman, Jurgensen, Lehman, and Feldberg, said in a statement that the ruling was, quote, not just a win for our client, but a victory for creativity and innovation, unquote. Quote, by establishing superheroes, in smaller quotes there, place in the public domain, we safeguard it as a symbol of heroism available to all storytellers, unquote, Adler said. Rivals Marvel and DC jointly own 4 federal trademarks covering the terms, quote, superhero, quote unquote, and superheroes, quote unquote, the oldest of which dates back to 1967. Richhold writes, comics featuring a team of superhero babies called Super Babies. According to Richhold, DC accused his company of infringing the superhero, quote unquote, marks and threatened legal action after Super Babies Limited applied for U.S. trademarks covering the Super Babies name, quote unquote. Marvel and DC have cited their marks in opposing dozens of superhero related trademark applications at the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, according to the office's records. Yeah, I mean, we know particular DC in particular is known for litigating people into the ground, to get their way. So, Super Babies petitioned the office to cancel the marks in May. It argued that Marvel and DC cannot, quote, claim ownership over an entire genre, unquote, with their trademarks, and that the two competitors cannot own trademarks together. And then this is back to Avi being amazing. It's about time the trademark was abandoned, and actually surprising in a sense that after all these years, Marvel DC decided not to oppose efforts to remove it as a barrier to other writers and artists. Maybe they realized that with their own sales tanking as a result of their woke directions, it does no good to make a bad situation worse and cause resentment. The ruling is a huge relief. Well, it could be too that because they are failing, that it may not be cost effective for them to hold the trademark either. That could be another aspect to it. The Verge also noted, which is, I guess, another article here. If you want to dive down a rabbit hole on the subject of Marvel and DC's superhero related trademarks, I've got just the thing. One of the lawyers over in the Super Babies Trademark Challenge, Adam Adler, actually wrote up a 2-part series of articles for Escapist magazine, lightly explaining how the companies came to jointly own the trademark and what they've done to guard the ownership over the years. Adler links out to other articles with even deeper dives too. All right, so now back to Avi speaking here. No doubt some of the most famous people working at both publishers have to shoulder blame for leading to a situation that was uncalled for as well. For all we know, creator-owned comics like Nexus probably encountered the same problems too in some way or other. Now they needn't worry about it any longer. And in the end, if DC and Marvel won't abandon their woke directions, that's just one more reason why it's time for them to retire their publications and let other more responsible creators take the reins in writing, drawing superhero fare, even though the whole superhero genre has been run into the ground over the past few decades. Alrighty then, so there's a bit more of a quickie. Granted, you do see some of Avi's obvious little pokes in there. But with that being said, and we're already at the 50-minute mark, so we're going to move right into the wrestling wrap up. The first thing I'm going to talk about here, real quick, is what to expect in this weekend's Bad Blood pay per view. As this is the last day before this is the last day before the pay-per-view that we will be covering, news items. So actually, even before that, so for tomorrow night's SmackDown, of course, tomorrow night's leading into the Bad Blood pay-per-view, they'll have a singles match between Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Also, in a dumpster match, Meechin takes on Chelsea Green. I'm sure Chelsea's real happy about that one. And in a triple threat ladder match for the WWE Tag Team titles, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga, the current champions of the Bloodline, will answer the challenge of both Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano of DIY, the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. So that's happening on tomorrow night's SmackDown. Then for this weekend's Bad Blood pay-per-view, Liv Morgan is set to defend the Women's World title against former champ Rhea Ripley, in which also as part of the match, Dominic Mysterio will be suspended in a shark cage above the ring. In a Hell in a Cell match, CM Punk will be taking on Drew McIntyre to hopefully settle their score. In a match for the WWE Women's title, Nia Jax will defend the title against former champ Bayley. In a grudge match, Damian Priest will be taking on Finn Balor between the two former stablemates in Judgment Day. And in a tag team match as the main event, they'll have Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline taking on WWE and Universal Champion Cody Rhodes and former WWE and Universal Champion Roman Reigns. So that's all we got for the WWE news, WWE wrap up. Now moving on to AEW, going to last night's Dynamite to talk about, and a couple of things did happen on Dynamite last night as well that were also pretty interesting. Shelton Benjamin made his debut in AEW, and also it was also confirmed that Bobby Lashley has now signed with AEW and will be debuting soon. So from the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so in a match for the international title, that went to a no contest as Will Ospreay was defending the title against Ricochet. Adam Page defeated Juice Robinson, who was ultimately saved from a further beatdown by the returning Jay White. Dr. Britt Baker defeated Serena Deeb. Private Party of Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn beat Iron Savages, now going by the names Beefcake Boulder and Bulk Bronson, who had Jack Jameson in their corner. And then a match for both the AEW World title and AEW Continental title. Now, from what I understand, from what little I've heard this far, because I haven't actually had a chance to go back and watch some of this stuff. So, both titles were on the line, but the only thing is, the Continental title was only on the line for the first 20 minutes. This match went over a half hour. So, Bryan Danielson won the match, but did not win the Continental title in this match. And of course, more setup for AEW's Wrestle Dream next Saturday. So that all went down last night. And now, looking ahead to this weekend, as at AEW tomorrow night's Rampage, and then Saturday's Collision. So on tomorrow night's Rampage, Queen Amanada will be taking on Harley Cameron. Learning Tree members Big Bill and Brian Keith will be taking on the conglomeration duo of Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly. Camille with Mercedes Moné in her corner will be taking on Zoe Lynn. And in a six-man tag match, the Warrior, Katsuyori Shibata, teams with Private Party to take on the elite members of TNT champion Jack Perry and the AEW World Tag Team Champions, as well as the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks. So that's happening on tomorrow night, and then on Saturday on Collision. Okay, they haven't announced any matches for Collision yet. So, anyways, that's what you had to look forward to. Now, coming up tonight on TNA Impact. Well, let's see if they even have anything up. Because I even actually, I'm not even sure. Okay, yeah, it doesn't even look like they. What they may have done, it is possible that they may. So now, actually, there were some TNA tapings over the last couple of days. So there's no TNA from the Skyway Studios. So we'll be, but we won't probably know for a while what came out of those. So with that, okay, so we're done with the wrestling wrap up then. Now with that all being said, now with today being Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. So let me see, 44, 2004, 2014, and 2019. Okay. All right. So first off, I'm going to head back 80 years ago today. As on this day, 80 years ago today, back in 1944, the 10th issue of Fighting Yank from Standard went on sale on this date back in 1944. Sold for 10 cents with 48 pages. So on this day, 80 years ago today, Fighting Yank, the 10th issue of Fighting Yank from Standard went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 1944. So also, moving on to the next piece of Nietzsche, we move ahead to 2004, 20 years ago today. On this date, 20 years ago today, in 2004, WWE held its No Mercy pay-per-view from the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Let's see. The main event saw John Bradshaw Layfield retain the WWE Championship over The Undertaker in a last ride match. Let's see. John Cena defeated Booker T to become the new United States champion. In a match for the WWE Tag Team Championships, Rene Dupree and Kenzo Suzuki, with Hiroko Suzuki in their corner, defeated Rey Mysterio and Rob Van Dam. Spike Dudley retained the WWE Cruiserweight title over Nunzio, renewing their rivalry from back in the ECW days. And then the pay-per-view opened up with Eddie Guerrero defeating Through the Reigns. And then the Sunday night pre-show match, Mark Jindrak defeated Scotty 2 Hotty. So 20 years ago today, WWE held its No Mercy pay-per-view from the Continental Airlines Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Now moving ahead to 2014, 10 years ago today. On this date, 10 years ago today, Lucasfilm's Star Wars Rebels, the 3D animated science fiction television series, premiered on Disney XD on this date 10 years ago today. So on this date 10 years ago today, back in 2014, Lucasfilm's Star Wars Rebels premiered on Disney XD. And finally, 5 years ago today, on this date back in 2019, let me pull that up. On this date in 2019, the following anime premiered on Japanese television. Bibury Animation Studios' Azure Lane, Project Number 9's High School Prodigies Have It Easy Even in Another World, and Ajia-do Animation Works Ascendance of a Bookworm. The first season, as Ajia-do Animation Works produced the first 3 seasons of that, with Wit Studio taking over in the 4th season. But the first season premiered on this date back in 2019, 5 years ago today. So with that, I do thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let's see now. Of course, tomorrow night we'll be back here. Let's see. Apex from Apex Comics will be joining, and hopefully we'll have another guest as well, another co-host as well. We'll be looking back to comics that went on sale in March of 1940 from Quality Comics. Looking at, of course, Crack Comics Volume 1, Issue 1, as well as number 10, among others. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.